But we're going to start with the big news of the week. Jamal Adams of the New York Jets. Well, I guess he was with the New York Jets. Safety. He has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks in a huge deal, which the Jets received multiple first-round picks, and I believe it was Bradley McDougall, the safety from the Seahawks, in exchange, and the Seahawks, I believe, also got a fourth-round pick out of it. But the Jets got a pretty good haul, and the Seahawks, in return, they got an excellent player, one of the best safeties in the game. We'll start with you, Marshall. What were your initial thoughts from this trade?
So I kind of have three things. First of all, I'm happy because I do not like the Dallas Cowboys, and they were trying to get their guy for a while now, Jamal Adams, and he's going to the Seahawks. The first thing is the Jets won this trade. My goodness, 2 first-rounders, and Bradley McDougall is a very capable safety. You put him in a good system. You know, he's not Jamal Adams. He's not like a star by any means. But you put him in a capable system, and he can be a big piece to a very good secondary. Which was interesting to me why I guess the Seahawks think very highly of Jamal Adams because Bradley McDougall was doing pretty good with their secondary, but I guess they just wanted to compete now and wanted that upgrade of Jamal Adams. Second of all, it was interesting seeing the Le'Veon Bell whole Twitter kind of beef with Jamal Adams, where Le'Veon Bell was recruited by Jamal Adams, and as soon as he gets there, Jamal Adams said, bye-bye, I am demanding a trade. And the third thing that really stood out to me is Adam Gase. I know he was the offensive coordinator for the Broncos back when we had really good offenses, and I always thought pretty highly of Adam Gase. I know he was with the Bears too for a time, and so when he went to the Jets, I honestly thought he went to the Dolphins and then the Jets, I believe, and I honestly thought he was going to be a pretty good coach. And hearing Jamal Adams talk about this guy, I'm like, oh my word! Yeah, you couldn't find a worse head coach. Now, if you believe Jamal Adams, who was trying desperately to get out of the Jets. But yeah, talking about how he had no personal relations with anyone. He never talked to anyone. Whenever there was some team meeting, it would always be some assistant coach and never Gase. So yeah, a lot to unpack here. But overall, I think the Jets won the trade, but they're the Jets. So they'll probably pick really terrible draft picks with their first rounders. So, yeah.
The haul, my initial reaction was the haul that the Jets got was arguably greater than what the Bears got for Khalil Mack. And in the Khalil Mack trade, I know it sounds a little biased because I'm a Bears fan, but I think the Bears, and the player you got with Khalil Mack is a generational type player, arguably the best pass rusher in football. So it was worth the deal. Now you hear with the Jets, the Seahawks are trading for a guy who's arguably one of the best safeties in the game. He can do it all. The Jets drafted him because he was a franchise-altering player, and quite frankly, the Jets really didn't want to trade him. Their general manager came out earlier this year talking about how, hey, I want to make Jamal Adams a Jet for life. Obviously, Jamal Adams went lashing out, and it didn't happen. He wanted a contract extension. But the difference here between the two, if I was making a football team, you kind of have your Maslow hierarchy of needs. So if you're doing the football version of the hierarchy of needs, you go, number one, it's a quarterback. That's the first thing any good football team needs. Second, it's someone to rush the quarterback, the other guy's quarterback. You need a pass rusher to get the other team's quarterback. And then third, you need someone to protect. You need an offensive line to protect your quarterback. That's like the big 3 things that your football team needs, and the rest of it's just kind of fluff. So with the Bears traded for Khalil Mack, you're getting a pass rusher. Every team needs a good pass rusher. That's a good investment. He's chasing down Aaron Rodgers. Great. Now, with the Seahawks, on the other hand, you're getting a safety. And, as great as Jamal Adams is, I don't know if he's going to be the type of player that's going to be turning your defense around. And if you want to really be throwing away all those draft picks, when you have Russell Wilson, a quarterback that really has no help on the offensive line, doesn't have a whole lot of weapons, you're throwing away a whole lot of valuable resources for a guy, he may or may not. He's going to help your defense out a little bit, but how much is he really changing games? You look at the top safeties from Pro Football Focus, and none of them you look at. I'll go with some of them they had ahead of the 2019 season. It was Devin McCourty for the New England Patriots. Well, they got bounced in the first round. Eric Weddle for the Los Angeles Rams. Didn't make the playoffs. Jamal Adams, New York Jets. Didn't make the playoffs. Eddie Jackson, Chicago Bears. Didn't make the playoffs. Then you got Derwin James, Los Angeles Chargers. Didn't make the playoffs. The two guys they have in here, they have Kevin Byard for the Titans. They obviously did pretty well, and Harrison Smith for the Vikings. They were okay too. So the majority of those teams were not making the playoffs. So if you're the Seahawks, that's kind of a move you make to put your team over the top. And I don't know if they have a Super Bowl winning team as of right now. I'd be looking to put some more pieces around Russell Wilson, who you're going to have a lot longer. And now you're going to have to probably commit to paying Jamal Adams a ton of money if you want him to stay there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe because he had 2 years left on his deal and you can franchise tag him, the Seahawks can make it work. And it all depends how the Jets draft. We could be looking back 3 years from now, and if the Jets didn't pick anyone that was particularly good with their picks, and they do what the Jets have historically done, then yeah, we'll say Seattle won the trade, they got the best player. But I am with you. I think they gave up a lot for a position that's kind of like the icing on the cake of a defense, where you're not building a defense around a safety. In my mind, despite the fact that he is an excellent player, not taking anything away from him, but I think it's kind of, they gave up a lot there. And plus, the Jets didn't have a whole lot of leverage because they wanted to keep him, and Jamal Adams clearly did not want to be there. He was pulling a George Costanza. He's throwing the coach under the bus. He's trashing the owner. All he needed to do was start wearing Joe Namath pants all over the facility and then dragging his Super Bowl trophies around in the parking lot. He clearly wanted out of there. So, and even when he did, you saw how happy he was lighting the cigar on his Instagram Live post. So, they had no leverage.
I totally agree. There was that video, like a couple months ago, where he's in his car and some fan was like, "Come to the Cowboys." And he goes, "I'm trying." You're totally right. This dude was not going to play in New York at all. He wanted out so bad, and I totally agree. The Broncos have one of the best safeties in football, Justin Simmons.
Yep.
And and it's awesome. Having a great safety is absolutely massive, but. And I wanted to pay, but like you said, it's kind of icing on the cake. And that's where I'd rather have. Obviously, you need good secondary players. That has been the demise of so many teams in this passing league. You need good secondary players. But like I said, I would just take a good defensive coordinator and a good scheme where you can put your players in the position to win. And that's a Brandon McDougal type player. He was very adequate for the Seahawks. He had a decent amount of interceptions, and overall their defense was at an ability that can get them to the playoffs already. Like you said, it's icing on the cake. I am not against them giving up a first and a third or something like that. I'm totally I think it's the correct move to trade for Jamal Adams. I just think they gave up too much.
The other thing too for the Jets, that they're going to save about $47 million in cap space for the 1 year of McDougal and the 12 combined years of the draft selections versus 6 years of Adams and the 4 years of a fourth-round pick. So the general manager, I believe his name's Douglas is his last name, but he had to do the trade. He had to do the trade for the long-term health of the franchise. Now, the other interesting part of this was Le'Veon Bell was kind of clapping back at him, saying you lied to me. You helped recruit me here to New York, and now you're just abandoning me. You want out, which I think, does he have a reason to be upset? Maybe, but Le'Veon Bell isn't really the poster child for giving up on his teammates because he held out a year. The Steelers had an excellent team, and they probably could. They had a team capable of making a Super Bowl run. He wanted to hold out and get his money, and that's how he ended up in New York. So I don't know if he's really the right person to be saying, "Hey, you quit on our teammates for money in the betterment of your situation." What are your thoughts on Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, no, I'll into that a little bit, and honestly, if I was in the market for a new team, and I had, imagine you're going, fraternity Rush is on the mind. Dude, if I'm walking through Rush as a freshman, and this guy says, "Oh my goodness, come join this fraternity. It's the best. You know, we got it all going on. We got all the greatest things. You join, and then he's like, yeah, I'm dropping. What? Excuse me? Come on, man. And especially if he's correct that if Jamal Adams says it's true about Adam Gase being this like horrible coach and they have a bad culture over at New York Jets, like I'm like, really, man? But yeah, no, that's just tough. And yeah, I would be pretty mad. I'm not gonna lie. I think that'd be that's kind of snaky right there. I mean, I guess you could think he thought Le'Veon Bell was gonna make their team all that, but I don't know. That would be very frustrating as a player.
I think Jamal Adams probably intended before the year to stay with the Jets, but I think the losing just became too much for him. I heard in a report that they were at halftime in a loss to the Jaguars, and he was basically in the locker room like screaming at everyone because he was like ticked off. He was a very alpha personality. I think it was too much losing for him. He couldn't take it anymore. He's like, hey, I'm not staying here to rebuild. They're not paying me. I don't like the culture. And that's kind of what jettisoned him. So, yeah, I can see where Le'Veon Bell would be upset. And I don't think Jamal Adams was trying to like, hey, you know, gotcha, you're over here now, sucker. I think he actually did want him, but, you know, you have to do what's best for you. And Le'Veon Bell knows all about that because he kind of did the same thing with his Steelers teammates. He let them down. And, you know, I can't blame him because he's a football player. You got a short career. You got to make your money, you know. But I think it's a little hypocritical on his end to be going after Jamal Adams for wanting to leave. So that's all I have to say about that.